Barbara Ehrenreich has a PhD in biology from Rockefeller University. Her undergraduate studies were in physics and chemistry. She has, however, spent most of her career as a journalist. She's a featured essayist for Time magazine, and her 8 nonfiction books, nonfiction, have received wide acclaim for their insights on feminism, class, and other areas usually uncovered by historians and sociologists. Now she is exploring yet another realm in her first novel, Kipper's Game. It has just been published, and it draws on all of her areas of expertise, and we're pleased to have her here. Welcome. It's good to have you at last.
Thanks for having me.
Why a novel?
I feel guilty when you ask that. I mean, this is the most socially irresponsible thing I think I've ever done. I mean, there's no...
Well, what was second place then?
I know, really. I mean, to do something, to spend years writing something which has no political agenda.
Right.
I don't expect you to read this and march on City Hall. You know, so it was something different. And the only explanation I can offer really is escapism.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound good.
Escapism for you from
me.
From the world's problems?
Well, it was like the third term of Reagan and Bush,
Right.
and I'd been writing and, you know,
As a
complaining.
social critic and essayist, right?
Very critical. And I think I sort of felt like I was just going to burn out unless I did something different, too, and sort of burrowed into another zone.
Was it the escape that you wanted it to be?
Oh, yes, yes, because I designed it that way.
Did you, but then is this to be read only for fun and that there is no larger sort of message here? Because some people in looking at it, some of the reviewers have talked about Orwell and others.
Well, yes, but I never would have thought of it, or I wouldn't describe it as sort of a political message. I mean, if I have to say, is there a message, I guess it would be something about how strange the world actually is.
But is it also that the world's going to hell?
No,
But
not only that.
It's not a pretty picture of the world that you
No,
draw.
it's not a pretty picture, and though it's not too different from the world as we know it. I mean, it's the world in decay,
Right.
an America in decay, which is very much what I sense. But that's just the setting. I mean, if there's something going on, if there's something I would want to happen to the person who reads this, it's to get really a sense of what a remarkable situation we're in. You know, here we are on this little planet, way out on the edge of the galaxy, whirling around our sun, which is whirling around in the galaxy, which is moving somewhere else through space. The whole thing is one big explosion, and we seldom think this is a very odd situation to be in. What do we make of it? What are we doing here? And that's the kind of question that the characters here sort of get forced to confront a little bit.
So the characters principally are Alex Kipper, the son of Dawn, and Donna.
Della.
Della, right. And her, he's gone. He's a computer hack, and he's sort of disappeared.
He's disappeared.
And he is sort of involved with the whole world of cybernetics and trying to find sort of answers to human intelligence and all of that in a game. And there is also about it some sense of science and having to know science because of the characters are scientists involved in a scientific ambiance and scientific environment. Did you draw on your own scientific background?
Oh, yes. Yes. I mean, I spent 5 years in graduate school. Most of that time was doing hands-on research in laboratories. So there was that little part of my life that I had never really pulled on at all in my writing.
Did you, when you were there, did you actually want to be a scientist, or were you just biding your time until something hit you that was interesting?
No, I wanted to be a scientist
So
then.
how did you end up as a journalist?
Well, I was one of the, it was the 1960s, I was in my 20s, and I thought, this isn't what I wanted. I don't want to do this all my life. I have to be socially relevant. That's the expression we used then.
So you got caught up in civil rights in Vietnam protest?
And I finished my PhD work, but then I sort of drifted off into those socially relevant
Did you simply
things.
find out that you were spending more time writing and that was what gave you the most satisfaction and seemed to command most of your time, and you realized, Eureka, I'm a
I
writer?
never set out to be a writer. It just sort of crept up, and then I was filling out my income tax form, and I said that was my occupation.
Freelance writer.
Yes.
Yeah. When you look at today's political, so you write a lot about Time magazine. You write about the gap between gays and straight, living out the wars of 1968, and lurch to the left. You're kidding. You consider yourself on the left of the American political spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
Where do you consider Clinton?
Middle.
Yeah. And when you hear these notions of lurch to the left, I mean, he has allegedly said, you know, I get in political trouble when I seem to be moving to the left, so I scamper back to the middle.
He never moved to the left. He never moved to the left. That was, I mean, from the point of view of someone on the more liberal end of the spectrum, he moved to the right when he came into office. You know, that he dropped a lot of the ideas he originally had. We didn't hear about, still don't have any form of health reform. The economic
but he hasn't dropped
plan.
Those ideas. I mean,
No, but the economic plan looks more like Perot at this point. See, now you've got me back to my my natural terrain.
Well, that's right. I'll come back to novels, right? But I mean, here, listen, tomorrow's New York Times. It says Clinton facing threat of revolt on budget plan. Handful of Democrats say they'll vote no. If this thing goes down, I mean, this is a major defeat for him if that happens.
Yeah, but you know, he has not. Right now, it's not an exciting plan that he could really sell to the American people. It's been so compromised away. It's hard to find it, you know, think of any big constituency.
Are you saying to me that you're not as interested in politics? I mean, I know you have serious thoughts about managed health care and what kind of health care reform we need, but because of this, that somehow this took you away from politics and you were less interested in politics?
No, it was both. I mean, I continued to do everything else I was doing, but I sort of had this other this parallel universe I could go into in the form of the novel, which I kind of miss.
Yeah. You miss what?
I miss working on it.
Really? Are you going to do another one then?
If something comes along and grabs me in the same sort of obsessional fashion that this did, yes.
Because I understand the book you're working on now is about war.
Yeah.
And the origins of war and what?
Well, yes, war as really the stupidest thing people do, but also as a kind of ritual activity, really a ritual at this, you know, that's gone on and on in history and prehistory.
And what conclusions are you coming to about it?
I can't tell you till you'll have to invite me back for that one.
But you would like to write another novel sometime?
There's one that's percolating in me, but I think, you know, it's different from nonfiction. I mean, with nonfiction, I can say, here's a subject, here's how I'm going to go about doing it, do the research, and so forth. This, what I found, I mean, it was very, very eye-opening to write a novel. I guess everybody wants to do it at some point in their lives. But to find that it wasn't something I could control that much. You know, that it was that it was an obsession that was running my life, or chunks of my life, for quite a while. And, you know, that it sort of directed the way it went, too.
When you wrote the book about men and the role, was Hearts of Men. Is that are you best known for that, you think?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. But it was an interesting thesis, and somehow you came to the conclusion, and the thesis was about men and men leaving the role, more and more men leaving the role as provider, and that had fueled the anti-feminist backlash.
That's right.
More so than an objection to feminism.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Having said that, where do you think feminism is today?
I think it's in young adulthood.
Yeah.
I mean, what I date it by is that my daughter was born in 1970, which is when the feminist movement was reviving. The second wave of feminism came along. So she's just turned 23.
And the second wave is what?
First wave would be the 19th century, the suffrage movement.
Right.
Second wave is the one that starts in the 1960s or 70s.
With Betty Friedan and all of that, yeah.
And then the third wave is what's starting now with this new, you know, young women, a second generation defining their own issues and really, you know, bringing a whole new spirit, a 90s spirit perhaps, to it.
Has the backlash ended?
No. There always was a backlash. I think there will probably always be something of a backlash.
Because what? Because the assertion of independence and equality by women is threatening to an old order?
Yes, I think so. And it's been threatening to women. It was a surprising thing that I found in the Hearts of Men who felt that their status as homemakers was threatened by feminism. It's threatening to an awful lot of, well, at this point, I would say young men, strangely enough. I mean, teenage men sometimes.
Peers of your daughter.
Yeah.
You know, are threatened by, in what way?
Well, though, they're also, you know, they're young men who are feminists, too. There's more of that. But there's, yeah, I mean, there's going to be conflict over these issues for a long time.
America's essentially a conservative
Well, a conservative culture with very radical roots. Remember, we started with a revolution here.
We sure did, but the reason I asked the question is in terms of, you look at the politics of, do you think that a progressive could be elected in America, a liberal could be elected in America?
Yes, yeah, I think so.
Why hasn't it happened? Because the right liberal hasn't stepped forward?
Well, I think there's been a lot of, where's it going to happen? We have only 2 parties, which is a real shortage of political parties, I say. I mean, compared to most countries in the world. And they're not
but I'm not sure that's bad. I think probably a 2-party system is pretty good.
Well, look how many kinds of toothpaste and how many kinds of breakfast cereal we have.
Yeah, but look at Israel. I mean, you know.
No, we need a few more choices. And both parties are very close to the center, so we don't have a broad range of choices. And the Democrats throughout the '80s really just shut their mouths and were very quiet. You know, that was a hard time. They went underground. I thought Clinton was going to be more of a populist. If he were more of a populist, if he were willing to go to the people and sell his programs, I think he could be a lot more liberal than he's being.
And so you're disappointed in him?
Well, didn't have high expectations,
okay.
but...
Kipper's Game by Barbara Ehrenreich. It is a novel. It is about, essentially about the future, but also set in with contemporary themes. It's great to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Martin Charnin is here talking about a new Annie Warbucks. Back in a moment.